Are you registered to vote?
Yep, I actually just mailed it yesterday.
Yeah. I'm also registered to vote. Why is November 5th not a federal holiday?
Because if more people voted, it would be worse for the Republicans, and therefore they will not go for that.
Explain. Elaborate.
Statistically, if every American voted, and we see this in the popular vote, no Republican president has won the popular vote in my lifetime.
Since 2004.
My lifetime, I made it.
But
yeah, I know. But even excluding 2004, up till like first Bush, right? Or Senior Bush's first term. Majority of people do not support these policies. Look at the polling. They don't support the policies. They don't tend to support the candidate. They look at Georgia. You mobilize more voters. People tend to vote blue, right? Because most people are Democrats. The more people that vote, the worse off Republicans are. That is statistically a fact, right? And it is hard to convince more people to vote for you when you're the party that doesn't represent the people, when you're the party of big business, right? And obviously under Vance, that's changing a little bit with a bit more economic populism. But
at least rhetorically, yeah.
At least rhetorically, yeah. And not to say the Democrats aren't also captured by big business, but whatever. A federal election holiday and some form of if not mandatory voting, compulsory voting or something or other, automatic voter registration, and they can help you register when you get your driver's license and stuff like that. But being able to register easily and freely, have those people vote, and if you can make there's a great book I've read called Against Democracy by Jason Brennan, and he basically makes the argument that democracy is not a very good system, and we're kind of attached to it, just like people were attached to monarchy. Maybe we should reconsider it, right? And then he goes to epistocracy and other ideas of how to reform it. But unless that's your argument, which I don't think most politicians want to admit it is, what is bad about more Americans voting? What is bad about more legal citizens, tax-paying citizens of the United States voting? Why not? Why should we not implement policies that will lead to more people voting safely and securely? If someone who is against those policies can give me a credible answer to that, and that answer can be, well, more people voting is bad because people aren't good at voting and people aren't good at making decisions, and that can be a whole separate discussion, right? But assuming that if you think voting is good, why shouldn't more people do it? Why shouldn't we pass policies that will allow for that? And I've yet to see an honest answer out of an anti these policies Republican.
I can try to give an explanation to what someone might say, what they might be thinking.
Yeah. What do you
From a Republican perspective, I've been trying to find the numbers on the registered Democrats and Republicans, but I can't find any concrete things. But as of last year, it was 35% of registered voters or voters were registered Democrat. It was 24 registered, 24% registered Republican. But I think the major thing, I think it all comes back to Trump and his massive, his whole thing is immigration, right?
Yeah.
And when he's talking about the border crossings and stuff, each border crossing is to him, when he's speaking about it, is a person that's come across the border and they're staying in the United States, right? So when he's saying millions and millions and millions of people, he's saying not millions of border crossings. He's saying, well, millions of people are coming to the United States. And I think his massive thing with that is, and how that relates to voter ID and the Republican stance on that is they're saying, well, we have so many people that shouldn't even be here. If we make it easier to vote, easier for people, easier access to vote, then we'll have all these people that shouldn't be voting. And I think that's where a lot of Republicans come from on this issue.
Well, then provide federal funding for hell, make a specific card that is voter ID card and make them free to get at every public library, at every city institution, at every level of state government. I can go to the DMV, I can go to a police station, I can go to a fire station, and I can get my voter ID. Put federal funding into that, put state funding into that. I I am no American politician could ever say this, but like, I am not, the founding fathers said if you pay taxes, you should be allowed to vote. Well, I didn't say they said if you're a white property owner who pays taxes, you should be allowed to vote. But, no taxation without representation. Immigrants, even, I'll just specifically go to legal ones here, like people that are here on work visas, like you're paying income tax and a billion other forms of taxation. Why should you not be represented in not federal, but like state elections, right? And that's a different can of worms. But like, if the goal is stop illegal immigrants from voting, which is not happening on a large scale, it's just not, then massive amounts of federal funding for a specific voter ID card and make it free to get, right? Do it, easy. And boom, I don't like.
Well, I think that's like the visceral reaction from a lot of Republicans who already don't have. I mean, the issue is the trust.
They're not willing to pay for it, though. They're not willing to.
That's a whole other thing. Yeah. The thing is like, yes, Republicans are like, we're not going to allocate tax money towards this. We're not going to raise taxes. But the issue with like the Republicans in this issue is, well, there's already that massive distrust in elections, and then the rhetoric. There's been a lot of people coming into the United States, not millions and millions, maybe like 1 million, right?
Yeah.
Over the past few years. But I mean, there's been a lot of people, but not millions and millions, not like 18 million, right? Mm-hmm. The Republican, like just the discourse around that though is the mindset, like just the vibe is there's that many people that shouldn't be in here that are, I guess that was a massive thing in the last election. They're like, we had a bunch of illegal immigrants vote in the last election. That's why they think Biden won.
Not true, but yes.
That's the angle of approach from a lot of, and it's the facts. It's like the facts don't matter, right? Because the word, like just the idea of a fact and the amount of like just weight it should carry, it just doesn't anymore in this age of like information and then
post-truth.
Misinformation. Post-truth. Exactly.
Well, what did J.D. Vance say? If I have to invent stories to bring attention to people, I'll do it. Said that to Dana Bash on CNN. Like, that's on the, yeah, you haven't heard of this? No, oh, Dana Bash. Of course, the whole Haitian dog thing, which was fake. The original person who posted about it said, oh, I found my cat. They were in my basement. Sorry. and Dana Bash brings this up to J.D. Vance. You can put a clip in here if you want to. He says, well, if I have to invent stories to bring attention to it, I will. Like, and it's not an exact quote, but that's almost exactly what he said, if I remember correctly. They don't care. What is like, I don't know. I don't, and maybe this is me, and maybe I'm some technocratic policy wonk lib, but like, I don't understand how someone wakes up in the morning and J.D. Vance, I've read the J.D. Vance dossier that got hacked, that got leaked on a...
The what?
The J.D. Vance dossier. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
I was waiting a phone call. J.D. Vance is a smart person. I've read the dossier leaked, supposedly gotten by Iranian hackers, and then leaked by Ken Klippenstein on X, or Twitter, as I remain calling it. And then he was banned from Twitter, but I looked at it, it's like a 297-page document. I'll send it to you if you'd like. Let's just look at J.D. Vance dossier. It's out there, like all of the opposition research ever against him, right? He's not a stupid guy. Like, he went to Harvard or whatever, right, or Yale or whatever. He went to go work in VC. He went to go work, like, he may have bad political instincts, and he may be weird, which I think he is. He's not stupid, right? At least to some extent. How...
Yeah, he went to Yale.
Yeah, he went to Yale. Just how does someone wake up and say, I'm going to ignore the facts because I justify it with morality, I'm sure, but like, I don't.
Well, okay, that's an amazing point. How do I ignore the facts? I think that's a massive thing. Like the dichotomy of, so you have the Republicans generally more conspiratorial. You have the Democrats generally more establishment, right? Yeah. Trust the media. We can look at the most recent example of the inverse of this with the whole Biden debacle, right?
Yeah.
Is the mainstream media, oh, he's fine, he's dynamic, he's a dynamo.
Those aren't facts, though. Those are not statistics and facts. Those are opinions from inside people. You can distrust the media, but still believe in rational truth. Those are two separate things.
It's a pretty gray area. I mean, I can agree with that statement, but I don't think it's like disseminated upon the American people the same way, because when you have the vice president saying Joe he's very smart, he's very with it, is that not a, like, I mean, you could say it's like an opinion, but you're making an assertion,
Yeah.
right? And the same way you make an assertion with a fact, right? And then you come out and we see the debate, and the whole reason why Joe's not even in this anymore is he comes out and he's not what they said he was.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's part of the the reason why we're in this whole thing, is just because people aren't telling the truth.
Politicians are not telling the truth, and
True.
I trust a politician as far as you can throw them.
Media people either.
Media people are parroting that, and they have talking heads who will say,
Propagandists.
I didn't exactly, propagandist pundits who say I didn't exactly, I think he's fine, but there were plenty of people, plenty of progressives, me included, who said, I don't think he's mentally competent. If I have to vote for Biden, I will do it, my nose turned up. But it's because you're voting for the people around him. You're voting for somewhat competent cabinet people, which I'm Buttigieg, love Buttigieg. Your Buttigieg types. And I don't think there were too many Americans who really thought he was that competent. I think that was a media weird DC political thing. But that's
and that
different
was
from
the
a fact.
fallout, right? That was like the split, and that was really because I think well, you're younger and you're more involved in this, and you're surrounded by the information. Like when you think of like a large portion, like a massive portion of the Democratic electorate, also like Republican too, but it's older people that are only watching MSNBC, CNN, The View, right? Mm-hmm. And they're not, I mean, sure, like some of them are on Facebook, a large amount on Facebook, but like a lot of older people, like really like 60s up through like 80s, right? And that's their only source. And they're saying, yeah, he's fine. They're just smearing him. This is not true. And you see what I'm saying?
Who used to be able to trust the news because, they're like what Walter Cronkite used to be trustworthy, and there's pretty good evidence that at some point the U.S. government suppressed certain stories and may have done a bit of interference there.
Well, absolutely.
Let's not be honest with ourselves. But what is there not a level of skepticism and media critical thinking? I don't know. When I ask the question, what is it with people who just don't think this way, who don't operate this way? And the answer I do not want it to be is that either they do not care or they are not smart enough to do that. Because I do not want either of those answers. Because they don't care, that's a big problem. And they don't know enough, that's a gigantic problem, right? Because political weirdos are always going to exist. But are we not instilling this in the nation? What is the,
That's an amazing thing you brought up though with the don't care and and I think this might be a good thing that comes out of all of this, because what do we see with Biden? We saw the media machine could not cover for him. The truth was out after the debate, right? We had the debate. We saw what happened, leading up to the debate, the poll numbers were slipping. Yeah. But it was dramatic after the debate.
Dramatic. And that's fantastic. And that's
because people saw the truth.
People, and they have to be more open. They have to be more transparent. There has to be, we saw, especially post-war in Iraq, we saw in post-Snowden, these independent journalists who came out and did fantastic work uncovering things. And there were plenty of independent journalists who talked about Biden, right? And some of them have gone crazy mode, some of them are a bit wacko now. Won't name names, but
Biden's a robot.
That exists, and that is good. And going back to I forget the guy in the Nixon papers, the guy who leaked the Pentagon papers. It used, I think it may still be to an extent, but there used to be a class of media crusaders, who kept America informed of things like that. And more of that exists now by volume, but I just don't. I don't know. I used to be a Republican. I used to be conservative because I believed that the facts were on my side. That's what I believed. And every argument I made, and I made plenty of them, I could substantiate it with a certain set of facts and a certain set of logic. And I believed that. And the flip, and it was a conversation with a family member, and the flip was he convinced me of this one thing, and I was like, oh, I have to look into that. And it would be sick to be a Republican, right? Like, I'm a fairly well-off white guy. That's like most Republican policies as it stands would benefit personally me dramatically. It's the microphone there. I would love to see income taxes lowered for me when I'm hopefully, a professional at one point making hopefully a good amount of money. That would be awesome. I would love for us to drill, baby, drill and have a bunch of cheap gas, right? That would be cool, whatever. But love, I say love. That would be, but like, I realize that is bad for a multitude of reasons and is bad for so many, climate change is real, right? At least I believe it is. I go against some of my personal interest, and I think, of course, personal interest align with societal interest. It's a whole big mess, but like, I don't know. I changed my mind because I came to realize what was true, and I think critically. And I am not an establishment Democrat. I may plan on voting for them, but I am not an establishment Democrat by any means. And I am inherently skeptical of all of that. Skeptical whenever Biden says something, I'm skeptical, and I disagree with him on a lot of foreign policy issues. One big one in particular, like a lot of stuff, some economic stuff. Kamala's housing plan with the whole like give people a bunch of money for it. It's gonna probably push prices up, right? I don't agree with that. Like, I am. What does it take to tell people that? To get them to believe that? What's the sauce?
I see. No, that's.
I'm
that's
babbling here, but
amazing.
it's
No, I
confusing.
understand. No, and where I was going with that is after the inflection point, Biden gets like that is revealed. Well, you had people like you who had like sort of the more correct point of view on Biden in the Democratic Party. And you're like, why is this guy the candidate? The party actually responded. Something happened. There was a change. Maybe not Andy Bashir change, or maybe not Gretchen Whitmer change, but there was at least a change. You got a better candidate.
That
right?
was the best thing that DNC has done for young people in 100 years.
But what I hope comes out of this is you have Democrats and Republicans. You had the Democrats that had they had the wake up moment. They're like, okay, well, I can't trust that this established media is true. Well, then on the flip side, I think it's happening with Trump supporters, and you see like when a hardcore diehard MAGA person goes, okay, I think Trump was wrong when he said that, because when you have like the diehard and personality cult, you can say that. That's just whatever he says is their exception of fact. And he has that amazing strategy, whether you like it or not, of just flooding the media with like so much stuff. So that's why they can't really pin him on anything, because he says everything. And that's one of his greatest flaws. But what I'm getting at here is when people think critically about what Trump says, and they're not just, I love Trump, I'm voting for him because I don't like the Democratic position. I'm voting because I might be a Republican, but this guy does not align with my views.
Yeah.
And what he says and what he does is not that. And it's awful because we have only two real choices that you're not going to get aligned with in like any sort of like personalized way. But if you can at least wake up to the fact of, okay, this person, whether it be Kamala or Trump, they've said things and done things that do not align with my values or whatever, and I'm not going to vote for them because of that.
Yeah. Gaza for the Democrats.
That's a massive thing, right?
Gaza for the Democrats. Trump being a morally repugnant person for the Republicans. Yeah.
Exactly. That's an amazing point. Yeah.
Which
Like Biden, like
Biden
two
being
wives. Well, one of them died. Trump, what, three wives?
3 wives
Right?
plus God knows how many affairs.
How many Christians do you know who would just hang out with a guy that's had? I mean, Trump is a whole other month. I mean, it's just.
It's just insane to me.
But you're seeing what I. That's
Yeah.
the point.
It is.
Yeah. Anything you like to say to kind of wrap this up?
If you're a Republican, please, vote. Maybe don't vote for Trump and just vote down the ballot with people you generally agree with. And if you really, if you don't like Trump, but you don't like Kamala's large-scale policies, and of course I'm a Democrat, so I would like if this didn't happen, but vote for, well, don't vote for president or vote for Harris. Vote for a Republican representative, a Republican senator, reasonable Republican state officials, ones that won't destroy our elections, and let congressional gridlock ensue to force negotiations like they did in part of the Obama presidency. Let the American political system work itself out. Trump is like a splinter from a poorly built wooden deck. You can squeeze it all you want, which may make it worse. Use the system, squeeze it out, create gridlock if that's what you want. Create government shutdowns if that's what you want. Stop Harris's policies through congressional action if that's what you want. But at the end of the day, Trump is not good for the party. And if the Republicans lose this election, which is a gimme by every single issue, if you look at a lot of the polling, it's a gimme, right? The economy's, I'd argue it's pretty good right now, but a lot of people think it isn't. Immigration, I don't think it's that bad of a problem. A lot of people do, right? Culture war stuff. If the Republicans had put a Haley type in there by the polling of that time, probably would have won. If the Republicans lose this election, it is because of Trump. And he statistically brings down candidates that are attached to him as well. I mean, look at Mark Robinson. Look at the red trickle that was supposed to be a red wave. If there's a trifecta, there's a blue trifecta after this election, I don't think there will be. And there may be. It's 50-50. It will be because of Trump. But if there is a blue president and a red Congress, it will be because of reasonable Republican voters. That's what matters. That is my final take and recommendation.
That was kind of a good answer. We can do that with the flip side.
Yeah.
With the Democrats. Older Democratic watchers, if there's any of you, turn off MSNBC. You can watch it, but at least think about where they're coming from.
Subscribe to Inherit Politics.
Subscribe to Inherit Politics. Diversify your information consumption.